Today we're going to show you how to change the Fresh Food Door Gasket on your refrigerator. It's a really easy job. All you're going to need is a Phillips screwdriver, a number 15 Torx bit, a putty knife, a 3/8 socket and wrench, and a small plastic head hammer. Let me show you how we do it. Now before we begin this repair, the first thing we're going to have to do is to soften up this gasket. Yours will probably look like this once it comes out of the packaging, and it'll be set in the wrong position, so you'll need to soften that up. Typically what we would do is put that in clothes dryer and let it run for a few minutes, or put it in a tub of hot water, or if it's a nice sunny hot day, set it outside on a nice flat surface so that we can take some of the kinks out of it. Once we've done that, we'll be ready to install. Now while we're waiting for the refrigerator door gasket to heat up in the dryer and soften out a bit, we're going to go ahead and remove the freezer door so that we can get this center hinge pin out, so that we can remove the refrigerator door and set it on a suitable work surface. It's easier to do that gasket replacement with the door off than it is with it in place. Now, if you have no place to put the items out of your freezer while we're doing this repair, I would suggest putting the freezer door back on, but as well make sure that we turn the refrigerator off so that we don't introduce warm room temperature air into the freezer. So we'll turn that off first. Next, we'll remove a single Phillips head screw that holds the hinge cover in place. Set that aside. Then we'll remove two number 20 Torx head screws from the hinge. Now we'll just lift the freezer door off and set that aside temporarily. Now with your 3/8 socket or wrench, we'll remove that center hinge pin. And we can remove the refrigerator door and put it on a suitable work surface. Now we can put that pin back in place. And we'll replace the freezer door. We'll just put those screws in temporarily to hold the freezer door from falling off. And now we're ready to remove the old gasket from the refrigerator door. Now to remove the old gasket, we're going to take a putty knife. We'll go in under the outside edge of that, just pry it up a bit, and you'll see a metal strip in there. Well, we want to pull the tab out of the middle of that metal strip, which is what holds that gasket in place. So with the putty knife, just pry up on the inner portion of the gasket until you get a bit of it started. Then you can probably pull the rest out with your hand. If you run into a tight spot, just use the putty knife again. You may find the corners a little bit harder to remove than the sides, but they will lift up. Just work your way all the way around it. Now we can lift that old gasket off of the door and discard it. While we have that off, particularly along the bottom edge of the door, you'll find some debris that has built up there. So we'll take that opportunity to clean that surface nice and clean and smooth. Now that we have that surface nice and clean, we're ready to reinstall the new gasket. So we'll lay it over the door first, get it lined up approximately where it should be. What we have to do is to get this white center ridge into that gap in the metal retaining strap. So we find a spot to start with and press it down into place. This is where the little plastic hammer will come in handy to tap that in. It needs to be firmly into that channel to hold it secure and also to provide a good seal between the gasket and the outer door panel. The corners will be the toughest spot to get it to mate properly with that metal retaining strip, so make sure that it's good and secure in those areas. And then just work your way all the way around. Now that we have the gasket firmly seated all the way around and the outer lip of it is laying flat on the outer door panel, we're ready to reinstall the door. All right, in preparation to putting the refrigerator door back on, we'll need to remove the freezer door first. We'll take the screws out of the hinge. We'll need to support that door as you remove the second of the 2 screws. And again, we'll just set that aside. Remove the center hinge pin. And we're ready to put the refrigerator door in place. Make sure we tighten that hinge pin. Next, we'll put the freezer door back on. Take care when putting these screws in that we don't get them cross-threaded. Now, before we tighten those 2 top screws, we'll want to make sure that the gap between the freezer and refrigerator doors is equal on both sides and then it's level across the top. Tighten them securely. We'll reinstall the hinge cover. Make sure that we turn the refrigerator back on. And our repair is complete.